What's up, family? If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already on YouTube, after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. I let a few hundred of y'all come in and then I'm going in. Okay, y'all already here. So here we go. Family, we got a young cadet, a young police cadet, over halfway done with the process of training for the Albuquerque Police Department, who was murdered earlier this week, just 2 days before Thanksgiving, by her own husband. But he also killed himself. I ain't got no problem with that. But I do have a problem with people killing innocent people. I do have a problem with people who can't control their temper, can't control their emotions. Men who cannot control their emotions and have to think that they have the right to take life, think they have the right to put their hands on a woman. Let me tell y'all something, family. We are only husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, whatever, based on what the other person agrees to. At any moment, a person can just say, you know what, I don't want to be with you anymore. And then it's over just like that. We don't own one another. What we should do is look out for one another. We should try to protect one another. You know, we should have a reverence for one another. But all too often, you got these situations where people feel like they own the next person. And if somebody don't do what they want them to do, they snap, they lose it, and they feel like they got the right to put hands on people. This woman, Taylor Hagan is her name. She was 32 years old, and she, unfortunately, is another victim of domestic violence, according to law enforcement. A member of the current police academy, the victim was part of a class 17 weeks into the 26-week course. The fatal violence occurred on Tuesday afternoon in the apartment that the couple shared in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They say that she was a hard-working person, a lovable person. She chose to serve the community as a police officer and keep the community safe. Now, I'll give her the benefit of doubt. For the rest of you out there, you know who you are, that's masquerading as peace officers. You can kick rocks barefooted with alcohol on your feet in a concrete plant. I have nothing for you but pain and suffering. My sincere condolences go out to her family and loved ones on behalf of her community and the overall community at large. The backstory is that officers arrived at the apartment just about 4 p.m., right after 4 p.m., in response to reports of a disturbance. Homicide detectives determined that she was shot and killed by her husband, Britton Hagan, 41, who then shot himself. Both died at the scene, police said. The couple's 8-year-old son was with a neighbor by the time the police arrived, according to the Albuquerque Journal. It was unclear if the child was with his family or at the family's residence at the time of the murders. Details in this case are scarce. Family, I want you to really pay attention to what I'm about to say. I might be able to save a life. In fact, I will save a life. If y'all listening to me, I'm gonna save somebody's life. And I'm also spare somebody the agony of throwing away their life. Acting out of emotions, acting on a temporary situation that escalates into a permanent situation, a permanently bad situation. We try to figure out, man, what is the connection? What is the connection between the holidays and domestic violence? There is a huge uptick in domestic violence during the holidays. Now, even on the regular, just regular, the stats will spook you on how bad domestic violence is in the United States of America. Domestic violence is bad everywhere, but it especially gets bad around the holidays. So I'm hoping that if you're listening to this, if you're listening to me, you would like be cognizant of the energy that you put out and the energy that you surround yourself with. You can be proactive about this and not allow situations and circumstances to control your emotions. You can remove yourself from potentially dangerous situations. You have the ability to do that right now before violence occurs. No matter how pessimistic people may be about domestic violence in America, the stats are still shockingly worse than most people would predict. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence states that on average, nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. Family, did you hear what I said? Nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide, with intimate partner violence accounting for 15% of all violent crime. How is that even possible, family? Love is not supposed to hurt, which tells me that many of us are not in loving relationships. 15% of all violent crime is perpetrated by intimate partners. 15% of all violent crime. How? We don't hurt the people we love. We hurt the people we should love. Although domestic violence is sometimes thought of as an issue that only affects women, this is not the case. In fact, the split is even closer than many of you would predict. What do y'all think that split is, family? You got any idea? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. What that split is. Tell me what y'all think the split is between men and women when it comes to domestic violence. Drop it in the chat. Let's see if we're on the same page. What is the split when it comes to domestic violence between men and women? What is the split? Somebody said 40, 48, 52, 50, 50, Brandon McCullough. 65, 35, New Me B. Willetta White says 60-40. Okay, God's sand completely. Okay, fam. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you before some of y'all start looking it up. It's 40%. 40%. It's 60-40. Willetta got it right. 60-40. 40% of all domestic violence cases are against men. I know that's shocking to a lot of y'all, right? Family. That means that there are a lot of violent women out there. All too often, when we think of domestic violence, we think about women. We think about women's shelters. Better get to a women's shelter, a women's shelter. Get to a women's shelter. Get the kids. Get away from him. Get away from the big bad boogeyman, daddy or husband. Get away from the boyfriend. But they need to have some shelters for men too, because men are being abused too. And guess what happened a lot of times when there's domestic violence? The man gets kicked out of the house. Police tell the man he got to leave, and he has nowhere to go. Where are the shelters for the men that are being abused? %40 of abuse cases are against men. Children are also badly affected, even if there's not the direct victims of violence, even if they're not directly involved with the violence. 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitnesses to this violence. Do you know what you're doing to these babies? You say you love the baby, but you don't even care when you're having a dispute, when you're acting out, that you're putting this energy out there for that baby to take in, and that more than likely, whatever that baby see, that baby is going to be. Because that child is not going to always be a baby. They're going to grow up with those images in their head. They're going to grow up with those memories. And however you teach them to be, that's the way they're going to be, because we're all products of our environment, and we are who we are via conditioning. However you're conditioned to be, more than likely, that's the way you're going to be. Not all cases. I just said more than likely. Some of y'all say, well, not really, because I wasn't like, I said more than likely, which means that there is room for exceptions. However you're conditioned to be, more than likely, that's the way you're going to be. Why would you do that to your child if you say you love your child? Why would you give him those type of tools to go out there and pretty much be a crash dummy? Because there's no way you're going to make it in this society doing whatever you want to do, kicking and screaming when things don't go your way, insulting people, putting your hands on people. Sooner or later, you will be brought to heel. How many big bad dudes we seen in the neighborhood? They big, they so big you can't even put cuffs around their waist, around their wrist. Big bad 6 foot, 4, 5, 9, whatever. Big giants terrorize the whole neighborhood. But when them people ready to come get them, they go get them. However they gotta bring them in, they bring them in. There's a whole lot of big old dudes in prison. Big bad dudes. Terrorized everybody except law enforcement. Couldn't get past Johnny Law. Scared the shit out of everybody. Couldn't scare Johnny Law. These statistics, family, that I just gave y'all only worsens over the holiday period. On average, police interventions related to domestic violence rise by 20% in December compared to that of other years. Compared to that of other months, my bad. But compared to that of other months, police interventions related to domestic violence rise by 20% in December. What does that tell us, fam? That tells us that, shoot, we gotta be game on. We gotta be cognizant of the energy that we're putting out and the energy we surround ourselves with. While we're going to these parties and we're going to these celebrations, going to these events, we got to keep in mind that even if we have a good attitude, somebody else might be going through it. Remember during COVID how bad things got? The mix of the holiday stresses and the COVID lockdowns, it created the perfect storm. And it increased the risks associated with domestic violence. It increased the risk factors. And many of those elements remain this year. For this reason, many authorities predict similarly high statistics this holiday season. So, what are some of the risk factors? What are some of the risk factors? Let's go over some of those risk factors. And you guys are going to be familiar with these risk factors. Alcohol abuse. Now, the holiday season gives many people who already have substance abuse problems even more license to indulge. Substance use immediately precedes 47% of domestic assaults and 92% of abusers had used substances at some point during the day of the assault. So what that means, watch that alcohol intake. If you're around somebody, you can see them, you're around your partner, you know your partner. You can tell when your partner cranking it up way before he crank it all the way up. You can see it's getting out of line. You can see it's getting out of hand. If you can't convince them to knock it off, you got to try to put yourself in a safe place. Because anything could happen. And the last thing that you want to do is agitate them. Some people like the drama. Some people they underestimate the people that they live with. And they think that because they had a fight 1,000 times before, that the worst thing is going to happen is that they'll get a black eye. They'll get a bruise on their arm. There'll be some insults. They think that's the worst thing that could happen. Nah, family. The worst thing that could happen is somebody could get killed. Time at home is one of the factors. Working from home during lockdowns forced many abusive partners to spend more time together. The holiday season also sees offices shutting down and people spending more time at home. This not only forces couples together, but removes some victims' opportunity to get out of the home and seek help. Remember again, COVID. Remember what happened with COVID. It forced couples to spend more time together. And a whole lot of divorces went down during COVID and immediately after COVID. People realized, man, we really can't stand each other. We really can't really be with each other for too long. Like if you have a spouse and you don't enjoy when your spouse come home, if you can't wait to see your spouse, your significant other, you can't wait to see them. if you don't get excited when you see them and jump all over them and ready to kiss all over them, something's wrong, man. And in that type of situation, it's easy to be resentful. It's easy to be disrespectful because you think you can do better. Come on, family. I ain't telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. If you can't get enough, when you're away from your significant other, if you can't wait to get back, come on, family. You lie in that bed with your significant other, man, and you don't want to move. It feel good lying next to him. Feel good lying next to him. You loving it, man. Like you ain't trying to get away from that. COVID hit, man. People was on one side. They were on one side of the sofa, and the other person was on the other side of the sofa. The other person wouldn't even sit on the sofa. They was all the way in another room. And you know, people that live in studio apartments and one-bedroom apartments got it the worst. You can't go nowhere. Holiday stresses. Some households face increased stresses over the holiday period, including the financial strain of Christmas, the pressure and stress of being around family, and the aforementioned increased alcohol or substance consumption. Family, that's a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for disaster. Holiday stresses. I took that off of me years ago. Holiday stresses, I took it off me years ago. Like, I'm cool. All of that running around, trying to get presents for everybody, trying to figure out what people want every year, trying to figure out what this person want, what that person want, and did I spend enough money? Am I spending too much money? Man, all that traffic. Yeah, man, when I first started getting money, I used to pull up, man, and first of all, my kids get whatever they want. Then my nephews and nieces, whatever they got on their wish list, they get what they want. And then I would always have extra toys for kids in the neighborhood who didn't get anything. So I got a SUV with some bikes in it. I got bikes. I got game systems. I got all kinds of stuff. And invariably, I would leave the hood with an empty truck. I get rid of all of those gifts. I'm talking about I go crazy with it. But that was because growing up, I never had nothing. You know, I never got what I wanted for Christmas, except once. My daddy bought me a bicycle once. Well, actually, he didn't buy it. He gave me $100, and I went to buy it. But I guess he did buy it because he gave me the money. But that's the only time I ever got anything that I wanted for Christmas. So I promised when I got some money, I got old enough, I was going to do for my kids what I wanted done for me. They wasn't going to want for anything. But after time go by and as the kids got older, I was like, man, how am I ain't dealing with these trees. I'm not going to be dealing with putting no lights up. I'm not doing with all that stuff. I'm not dealing with all of that, you know, like, and for all of you that still do it, I'm not trying to bust your bubble. Keep on doing it if that's what makes you happy. But I'm doing what makes me happy. I'm not dealing with it. And having said that, I did get a little bug just now. I was at the store and I saw a bunch of Christmas trees and stuff. And I thought about it. And then I said, nah, man, I ain't finna put no damn tree up. Because I go buy that tree, I got to pull it out. I got to decorate it and go through all of that. And then the worst part ain't putting the tree up. The worst part is taking it down. Man, I ain't doing all that stuff. So anyway, fam, it's those stresses, that unnecessary stress. The traffic is everywhere. Your mind, you're preoccupied. You're driving over here, you're driving over there, you're rushing over here. You got to go over here. Should I wrap the gift, or should I not wrap it? Should I just put it in a nice bag? Do I buy a bag at all? All of this stuff. And buying wrappings is one of the worst ways to blow money. I get it, fam. You don't want somebody to know exactly what it is, and unwrapping the gifts it's a certain nostalgia and excitement that comes with that. But spending $8, $10, $12, $15 to wrap a gift that somebody's just gonna rip apart, just rip it apart, just rip all of it. I don't know, fam. I don't know. But to each his own, to each his own. And I guess I still will wrap some gifts, but I just don't go through the whole charade anymore. I don't do all of that stuff anymore. For those of us who have big families, the best thing that I think that anybody ever created was doing a list where you pull names. That's the best thing a person can do for Christmas. And for families, especially big families, pull names. That way, pull names and come up with a minimum and a maximum amount to spend for a gift, to spend on gifts. Come up with that minimum and a maximum, and everybody fall between that, and then that way ain't no stress involved with buying the gifts. I think putting names is an excellent idea if you want to relieve yourself of all that stress. I also think a lot of stress is involved during the holidays because oftentimes we think of our family members who are not here, who have gone on to glory. And that can be painful. It's stressful. It's depressing. And while it's okay to think about those people, those loved ones who have transitioned, I think it's important for us to get on it and get off of it and really pay more attention to the people that are here and not the ones who are gone. I think that's more important, because the people that are here need us now. Ain't nothing we can do for those who have gone and who have already transitioned. Ain't nothing we can do for them. If you have a woman and, she's the mother of your children and your mother has passed on, it's unfair for you to drag the whole family on Mother's Day and deny her of her moment, the woman who's in your life, who's there right now, who's living, who's breathing, who's taking care of your babies, who's taking care of you. It's unfair to deny her of her moment, of her day, her special day. Every day is her day, but her special day. That's unfair. So it's nothing you can do for mama anymore. I say cherish the memories and honor her, but keep it moving. Keep it moving. Life goes on. Life went on before we were born. Life's gonna go on after we leave here. I think it's okay to, remember those who are no longer with us. I think it's okay to think of those who are no longer with us. But it's a way to do that in a healthy manner. Now, for those of you who just don't want to think about nothing else, do whatever makes you sleep good. Do whatever if you want to cry all day, if that's your day to cry, if that's your day to just play slow music, play the blues, and drink until you just, as long as you're not hurting anyone, if you just, want to drink all day, you want to smoke all day, you want to just listen to music all day, you just want to go in your room and sob, whatever you want to do. If that's what makes you happy, and it don't hurt the babies or your significant other, if y'all got a plan and y'all got an understanding, that's how it go on this day, that's how it go. He know, she know to leave you to yourself on that day. Do what makes you, do what works for you. These stresses for holidays is a big deal. That's why there's such an uptick in domestic violence during the holidays. There's also a pressure to put on a happy face. A lot of us are in relationships that really ain't working. We're in toxic relationships, but we putting on a happy face because we're going over to mama's house, or we going over to the aunt such and such house, or we going over to this event, we're going to this party. So we put on a happy face because we're expected to be together and be one big happy family. But deep down inside, we're miserable. And so that type of thing can build up and it can spill over into domestic violence. So I did write down a number for anybody that needs help. And keep in mind, fam, this is an international problem. This is not just going on in America. This is an international problem. In the US, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233, which spells SAFE. In the UK, 0808-2000-247, that's refuge. In Australia, you're going to call 1-800-737-732. Yeah. This is, I know this ain't what some of y'all expected, but you know me, man, I love you for real. So I figure like, I know a lot of people going through it. And I know I got my own challenges during this time of the year because some important people that was in my life is no longer here. And I can't help but think of them and the good times. Can't help but think of them. But I try my best to compartmentalize those thoughts where it don't affect what I do during the course of my day, where it doesn't affect anything else or any other relationships that I have going on today, where people are here live, well, who are in my life right now. We have a vibrant relationship that is very much alive. So I figure if I'm going through it, if I'm dealing with it, some of y'all might be able to use some of this information too. Some of y'all might be going through it. This girl was only, 31 years old? She was only 30, I think she was 32. She was 30, let me make sure here. She was 32, yeah, Taylor Hagan. She was only 32 years old and became a victim of domestic violence in the worst way, where her uncivilized mutt husband killed her and then himself. This is according to law enforcement. She was a current member of the police academy, and she was just, part of a class of 17 weeks into the 26-week course. That's a trip that it only takes 26 weeks to be a police officer. It takes longer than that to be a beautician. Absolutely amazing. It takes longer than that to get your trucking certification last I checked. Cold game, fam. It's a cold game. It takes longer than that to get extermination certification. But you can be a police officer and be dealing with the public and be in charge of, have the authority to take life. And a lot of these police officers need help themselves. A lot of the police officers are domestic violence offenders. In fact, law enforcement has one of the highest statistics for domestic violence. And they have these people going to people's houses talking about de-escalating. They're the ones, they're already unhinged, they're already emotionally unstable, and they're showing up at people's homes who are emotionally unstable or have some type of dispute. And they don't even know how to handle their own disputes, but here they are trying to settle yours where they don't even have a dog in the fight. How you think that's going to work out? So, going back to the connection, these are some of the signs to look for. Hypersensitivity. I'm talking about like if you know, before it go down, for any number of reasons, victims don't always come forward to seek help themselves. So these are some of the things that communities should keep an eye out for. These are possible signs of domestic abuse that may include hypersensitivity, verbal abuse, controlling behavior, unrealistic expectations, isolation, blaming, threats of violence, use of force. You better be very, very careful about those controlling behaviors. Blaming and threats of violence, use of force. Oftentimes, before somebody actually go as far as taking the life of a loved one, they threaten them. Oftentimes, before they shoot them, they pulled the gun on them before. They put a gun to their head. They're telling what they do, what they did, you know, what they will do. They're telling what they'll do to them. After a person do it so many times, a lot of times the significant other might think, well, you know, he's just bluffing, he's just talking, just running his mouth. He ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna do nothing. She's just talking, she's talking, she's talking. And then that be the day that they actually go all the way through with it, go all the way. So a lot of people in America need therapy. Whole lot of people in America need therapy. And ain't nothing wrong with therapy if you need it, because it's all about bettering yourself, right? If you want to get fit, you want to get some muscles, you want to lose some weight or whatever, you go work out, right? You try to help yourself. You try to better yourself by going to the gym. If you want to better yourself mentally, you want to address some childhood trauma, go see a therapist. You know, ain't nothing wrong. In fact, that's some bullshit right there. Go see a therapist. If people are saying this works, seeing a therapist works, perhaps you should at least try it out. And maybe the one you go to don't work for you. Try another one. Maybe that don't work. Try another one. Then after that, maybe it's on you. But you got to at least try. Nothing beats a failure but a try. Going into the comments. Creative Collective, what it do? Loving freedom. That's right. Y'all throw up, hit that like button, fam. Hit that like button. Disco Angel, what up? Mr. Nobody, what it do? Indigenous goat. Leon Gardner, what's up, Leon? Eddie Wilson, what's up, Eddie? Eddie Wilson. I see some people in the chat arguing about the holidays and pagan this, pagan that. Listen, fam, holidays or not, domestic violence is a big problem in this country. I'm just letting you know during the holidays to pay special close attention to it. That's all I'm saying during the holiday months. But this is something that you should be concerned with year round. Some people have cognitive dissonance. They only hear what they want to hear, and then they go off instead of trying to get an understanding. That is a bad attitude to have in life. Only listening to comment as opposed to trying to get an understanding. What's up, Larry Smith, Lady J? T.I. Johnson, what's up? Judge Dredd says, I'm by myself, it don't affect me. Yes, it do. See, I don't know why people be thinking like that. Domestic violence affects everybody. If you don't even have to know a person and domestic violence, if that person going through domestic, if that person is beating on somebody, it could affect you. I give you a perfect example. Let's say you leave your house and you go to a grocery store. You're inside this grocery store and you're shopping. A person comes in and just starts shooting. And you know you ain't did nothing to nobody. Why the hell they shooting at you? Because of something that went on at his house or her house. They were just fighting in the house, and they've been watching domestic violence their whole life. It didn't just start. They grew up in it, feeling unwanted, feeling unprotected, mad at the world. Take a gun, go inside the store and air it out. You trying to figure out how in the hell am I lying on this floor bleeding profusely? I ain't mess with nobody. I ain't in no relationship. Why is this happening to me? Man, I'm trying to tell y'all, man, this whole thing is interconnected. It's all interconnected. Even the bum on the street, the homeless guy. You think you're not connected. We all interconnected. Everything is interconnected. You think because those people live over there and you live over here, you safe. Those people over there, they're wild and crazy. They killing and shooting. I'm over here. I'm safe. I don't hang with those type of people. I don't know those type of people. I'm good. By not hanging with those type of people and not knowing those type of people, that's a good start. That's a good start. I can buy you some time. But that ain't gonna cover you all the way when that person decides to cross that track, come out of that neighborhood and go and decide that, you know what? I'm gonna catch you at the gas station. I'll see you, Mr. Safe Guy, at the gas station. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna follow you home. Man, the police ain't gonna go to your house, the police and the judge and They're not going to go to your house and spend the night in front of your house. They're not going to go into your house and sleep on the couch while you sleeping in peace. Oh, it affects you. It affects you. What's up, Demetrius? Richard Jones. Lady J. All right, fam, we're going to keep the chat going. Jose, I see you. What's up? So we're going to keep the chat going, but I'm going to get on up out of here, fam. Before I go, and here's another thing, too. This dude killed his wife, he killed himself, and he orphaned their 8-year-old son. But I'm sure he loved him. R.I.P. Taylor Hagen.